We know diplomacy is hard. It takes time. And the Secretary was conveying that it certainly is only natural that many countries will go back, convene, discuss, and they'll reconvene next week. I'm not going to get into the details. We made significant progress in Geneva. We are focused on continuing to narrow the gaps and on the negotiations continuing next week. Because we do care deeply about the security of Israel. But we have a responsibility to pursue the diplomatic path, to see if we can resolve this through diplomacy. Diplomacy should be the first option. We haven't taken any options off the table. Certainly, obviously, sanctions is a big point of discussion, as would come as no surprise, in the discussions with the Iranians. We put sanctions in place to hold the regime accountable, of course, but to also get to a point where we almost are now, which is to have these negotiations.
And the intention in setting up those sanctions always was to bring the Iranians to the table so that we could resolve this issue peacefully, because that is my preference. That's my preference because any armed conflict has cost to it, but it's also my preference because the best way to assure that a country does not have nuclear weapons is that they are making a decision not to have nuclear weapons, and we're in a position to verify that they don't have nuclear weapons. What I've said to the members of Congress is that if, in fact, we're serious about trying to resolve this diplomatically, because no matter how good our military is, military options are always messy, are always difficult, always have unintended consequences, and in this situation are never complete in terms of making us certain that they don't then go out and pursue even more vigorously nuclear weapons in the future. If we're serious about pursuing diplomacy, then there's no need for us to add new sanctions on top of the sanctions that are already very effective and that brought them to the table in the first place. Now, if it turns out they can't deliver, they can't come to the table in a serious way and get this issue resolved, the sanctions can be ramped back up, and we've got that option.
To our Israeli friends, that we do actually have the same goal of preventing Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon. The place where we diverge a bit is on the tactical level. We're continuing to make the case for why we think this is the best path. The P5+1, as you know, is united. They will be returning next week in Geneva.